Hey astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. I'm super excited to get into today's reading because today's reading is Why Are You So Seductive? We have 5 piles to choose from as always. And before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell to stay notified of future readings. You can also follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research or TikTok or whatever social medias I have posted below for you. Now let us jump into these reading. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Pile number 1. Let's see what makes you so seductive. We have the Wheel of Fortune, the Page of Pentacles, the King of Cups, the Two of Swords, the Hermit, and Uttara Falguni. Okay, so if we take things all in, is that you being able to be a dynamic person is part of the seduction. Your ability to kind of like change and transform. So maybe you don't stick to one certain style or look, or you like to experiment with your look. That's part of the seduction process. And then also, it has to do with a lot of your emotional maturity and your intelligence. People like that you are independent and that you're someone who either gives good advice or you always have something smart to say when it comes to relating to personal problems and personal issues, which makes sense because in Vedic astrology, Uttara Falguni is in the house of Virgo, which is, you know, obviously about daily life, conflict. And you see a lot of Uttara Falguni people will write about or play characters in shows and movies, etc., who are dealing with family issues like child custody, divorce. Like, it's a pretty common thing for Uttara Falguni. It all becomes about like the problems and conflicts that we deal with as a society, like just because you go out in the world and how you go out in the world and how that affects basically your life at home. And they feel like you have a very mature way of handling and I guess communicating with people, okay? So that they feel like you're somebody who's a little bit more in control of their emotions, and that's very, very attractive and seductive, okay? They're not like this is just a wild man or a wild woman that they're dealing with, someone with some level of maturity. The Page of Pentacles is just kind of, like I said, referring to that sort of experimentalness that you may do when it comes to your appearance or even just kind of like trying new things. Page of Pentacles is pretty much anything tangible, anything you can hold, touch, feel. So they may be like, oh, this person likes buying little knickknacks. This person likes trying out different coffee drinks or something like that. They just kind of like that you kind of keep people guessing or you're on your toes. It doesn't have to be buying something. It could be doing something, right? Like anything, like I said, that you can hold. So it could be like some project that you're working on where they may feel like, oh, you're very creative. You're somebody who is, oh, how could I forget? Very generous. Like Uttara Falguni is probably one of the most charitable nakshatra placements. So they may feel like you're a generous person, and that's part of the seductive aspect. Now, in terms of just like knowing physical qualities that make you seductive, what I've noticed is Uttara Falguni people, they kind of like the whole package. It's just, when I was doing my Black Beauty study, they're a very, very, very popular placement for attractive, at least Black women. And I believe Claire Nocti did a study and Uttara Falguni came up for like attractive men or something. But either way, having Uttara Falguni placements can't hurt, it seems like, right? It seems to be a good placement to symbolize attractiveness. And even in tarot, whenever I get the Sun card, it usually represents somebody who's attractive. More so guys than not, but it also can be a woman, okay? It just means like the women are usually more like sexy, okay? They usually aren't described as like beautiful. It's just like they're hot, they're sexy. Not that they're not beautiful. It's just that there's an element of seductiveness to them, which is great because that's what this video is about. So you're very, very seductive, right? Because you're bringing in all of those Uttara Falguni qualities. And what I like about them is they don't really, they can be shy, but once they get into their element, once they get into their zone, it's like they really are that it girl. They really are like, who has an Uttara Falguni placement? Christina Aguilera, right? And she had that video like Dip It Low. It's not very like, oh, suggestive. It's like pretty obvious, like she's having her sexuality on display. She's not hinting at it. She's not beating around the bush. You know, she's rolling in oil in that video. I think it was oil, something black or something. But she's like rolling in it, and the lyrics are very, very clear. You know what I mean? And also, in terms of features, the thing that I've noticed people talk about with Uttara Falguni people the most is they'll usually say that their bottom area, their butt, that's the features that people will talk about the most. But it's weird because it's not like their butt is like, not like Uttara Falguni people have the biggest butts, is what I'm trying to say. But people seem to like that part of them as well, or at least they like that part of themselves the most. I think they usually have the very pretty faces. At least that's what I think. In terms of that, I think their faces and features are like very well balanced. And so your face may be a very well balanced face. Who else is Uttara Falguni? Like Sanaa Lathan will be somebody who's Uttara Falguni. Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm trying to think of people. They're like people, there's a lot of them, but my brain is like shutting down at the moment. But basically people you see who kind of tend to have very balanced kind of features. And it's interesting because I think Kyla Pratt, who played younger Sanaa Lathan in Love and Basketball, I believe she's also Uttara Falguni. So there's kind of like, maybe if you're a woman, there's kind of like maybe a tomboy aspect to that, but whatever. But generally they have very like pleasing faces. It's just like full package with them, okay? And one thing that they like about you is that you think before you speak. You are very, very much trying to be like a very diplomatic person, and that's very seductive. So really emphasizing the emotional maturity, the not jumping to conclusions, not taking one side. As I said, the physical beauty is all there. They may focus more on like your lower half, but obviously in general, Uttara Falguni people are very well balanced in their facial features as well. It also just have a general seductive quality. People will like that you're not shy about your sexuality. If you are that Page of Pentacles, and a little bit shy, you may be coming out of your shell, or people may feel like there's more to you. That could possibly be it. They're just like, oh, I bet that this person is a little bit more feisty than I'm thinking, right? There's also an element of just taking pride in yourself and wanting to be your best. And also there's just kind of like have fun. Sometimes with life, things can be really, really tough. But I see that you have this Page of Pentacles here. And it's almost kind of like saying you take a moment to just kind of like do something that will relax you in order to have fun, because all pages, they're young, they want to have fun. So there's an element of playfulness and flirtatiousness, especially with the King of Cups here, and they're just like, you're just having fun with people, like you're just somebody who has fun but then also wants to take it to a more serious place when necessary. And it's also, I didn't even think about the fact that the Hermit was connected to Virgo as well. Just in general. So double Virgo type of energy here. I'm trying to think of the seductive qualities of Virgos. They're like typical things of what you think would be seductive, like very direct, very flirtatious, very straightforward. If they're women, they're like, okay, here's this tight outfit. They're not like, oh, let me dress conservative. I've seen Uttara Falguni people, and in fact, I think my mom is Uttara Falguni, and you know, when they're younger, it's just like boom, pow, like it's out there, man. They're like, I'm not hiding who I am, like I'm showing the world how that I am connected to my sexuality, that I am a sexual being, that I am flirtatious, I'm fun, I am serious also. It's just they don't hide it like that. You know what I mean? It's actually probably why it's a popular placement for kind of people in the adult film industry as well. That's probably part of the appeal. It's kind of just saying they're just comfortable with who they are, right? To a degree. Trying to think of anything else. I can't think of anything else that is necessary to be said. This is pretty straightforward. Like, they're all about that passion. They're all about that deep connection with someone. They can be very direct when it comes to expressing their sexuality, and people may like that about you. If you're not this direct person, then this Kapal is probably not for you, because I've never seen somebody be shy in Uttara Falguni, at least not as an adult. Like, I'm sure they're out there, but there's definitely moments where they can just really, really express themselves when they feel like they really like someone or they want to connect with them in some way. So that's what I have for you, pal. Number one, people just generally just think you're hot in all the traditional ways. They just think you're a very attractive person. Yeah, that's really it. They just think you're good looking. So that's why you're seductive. You're just good looking. You're mature. You switch things up. You're very balanced. You're intelligent. And you're generous. So there you go. I'll see you guys next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 2. Let's get started on your reading. Why are you so seductive? We have the 2 of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the 8 of Wands, the Lovers, the Page of Swords, and Ardra. Okay, guys. So, with everything I see here, with this, a lot of Gemini energy, because in Vedic astrology, Ardra is in Gemini, like 6 degrees Gemini to 20 degrees Gemini. It's all Gemini, right? And we also have the 2 of Cups, which is like sort of connected to the Lovers. And we also have the Lovers card, which is all kind of like Gemini energy. And even Ardra is known as the teardrop. And then we have like this cup water semblance going on here. And Ardra is ruled by actually Rahu. Though Rahu's not water, but it doesn't matter. So the thing that I'm seeing that stands out of what makes you so seductive is the fact that you are able to form these deep bonds and connections with people, or they find you very relatable, that they find you understandable, very focused. What's a good way to kind of pick up on Ardra? Ardra just feels like, oh, this person is being open with me. This person is being vulnerable with me. This person is showing me a different side to them. You can see like Ardra guys, people can picture them as being like this, you know, this bad boy, or like this puppy who needs saving, or like, oh my gosh, like he showed me his vulnerable side, even though he's like this tough guy, or something like that for the guys. For women are just tend to be like very personable, like Mindy, I hope I'm saying her last name right, it's Kaling. She was in The Office. She wrote Never Have I Ever, or at least she produced it, I believe. Never Have I Ever. I'm pretty sure she might have had a hand in writing it, because she did say it kind of related to her own childhood. But that is just somebody just very personable and very much a people person, very much a very sociable like energy. And that's really bringing in a lot of your seductive qualities. If we're talking on the physical, it gets kind of hard, because Rahu is a entity of illusion. So what I mean by this is a lot of Rahuvian people will feel a pressure to conform to the beauty standards. So somebody who would be Ardra would be Sweetie. And you see how she has gotten certain surgeries done in order to fit the beauty standard, even though she was very beautiful before. But she wanted to fit that standard more, and she dresses a certain way. And that can be seen as very, what's the word for it? I guess stereotypical of our time that we're in. where we have lots of like colorful hair, lots of like Fashion Nova looking-esque outfits. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying like this is kind of like what's going on in our current age. And so they can kind of conform to what's going on and happening now in order to gain popularity. Not a bad business mood, right? I mean, so that's something that could happen here. It can change when they get older. Usually I've noticed Ardra people, either they will be like super fitness people, like super gym type people, or they're kind of just like, hey, like I just want to be myself. Like they may gain a lot of weight, okay? Like they may be like, they kind of shed their skin a little bit. No pun intended, since Rahu's like the head of the snake. But they kind of like reveal more about themselves. And this is for Rahu and Ketu placements. The older they get, the more like Rahuvian and Ketu like they become. So they kind of show more of themselves, and they're less like likely to conform, and they're more likely to just do what they want. And so the appearance can be very radical and very changeable, which is no surprise because it's in Gemini, right? So the changeability is also something that is a part of the appeal. There's a lot of intelligence, able to see things from multiple perspectives, and that's easily given by the fact that we have two people here. I think technically 4 people in this card, but the main people are the lovers, 2 people here. And then Ardra itself is about kind of anticipating and being very calculating and seeing things from different perspectives. That's not its only thought process here. The main message of Ardra is kind of having to do with nostalgia. Okay, so that's something why you have the teardrop here. So there's a strong connection towards nostalgia here, which is no surprise because we have 2 cup cards. And cups, in a way, they connect to the emotions, they connect to the past, they connect to our inner feelings, the connections that we have to each other, these little moments that can't be captured and can only live in your memory. And so people feel that emotional connection with you. They feel like that there's these moments that you may have with them that can't be repeated or can't be created with anyone else. So it's a very magnetic connection. Okay, so that's something to part of your seductive quality. There's also this kind of like troll quality to Ardra. And the only reason I mention this is because we have the Page of Swords here. And I've gotten the Page of Swords to be, they can be kind of like what's the word for it? They kind of like want to start stuff like a little bit. Instigator. They can be kind of like an instigator energy, not always with the Page of Swords, but it is one of their forms that they take. And Ardra people can be like the biggest internet trolls ever. If they are somebody who is a little bit of a stronger moral compass, then they're going to troll people who are doing very negative things. People who are being misogynistic, people who are being racist, they're going to troll them. And so you could be like one of those people where you bully the bullies. And that's a very Rahuvian-like energy. If there's somebody who has a strong moral compass, they're like, hey, if you want to talk crap about people, well, I'm going to talk crap about you. Like, and I'm going to put you out there and I'm going to, you know, blow your spot up since you want to be big and bad, right? So people may like that quality to you if you're that type of person where you're calling out people. It's less so like I'm starting something, like how the 8 of Wands is like I'm the one sending the message, and more of the 8 of Wands reverse, which is what you have here, and more I'm reacting to what you just put in front of me. And so people will like that, how you react to things, how you analyze things, how you like kind of how do you think, basically, is part of the seduction quality. So these are all things that are really, really a strong focus. And I'm trying to think of things people focus on. People really focus on Ardra people's eyes, but that's because Rahuvian eyes tend to be like some of the biggest eyes that I've seen. I think K2 people also have big eyes. But definitely Rahuvian people, when I see somebody like very big eyes, and there's a certain face that they make that I'm like, oh yeah, this person is got some strong Rahuvian placements in their chart. You know, then it's the eyes that are a strong focus and that are a strong sense of seduction towards them. It's also the need to take care of others, or kind of take control of people who may be in situations where their head isn't on straight, and the Ardra person kind of has to pull it together. I've seen this happen a lot with Ardra people. I don't know if it's all Rahu placements, but definitely I've seen it with Rahu people, where the Ardra person is kind of put in the position where they're kind of perceived to be like a villain, because they have to take care of somebody who is in a vulnerable position. And it's almost like other people perceive them to be kind of like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this person. For example, like I've seen a few Ardra people be in charge of people's conservatorships. And so Britney Spears' dad would be somebody who would be in charge of her conservatorship. And I don't know if he's a good person or not, but the media does paint him out to be a villain, and that is kind of clear. And I've seen this happen to multiple Ardra people, where somebody may not be in a stable state of mind and they have to take over. Like I said, I don't know the whole situation with that, but I've also seen that position for Ardra people. And even if it's not that specific situation, they may have just like a household of children, and they themselves may feel this strong sort of emotional turmoil inside. I mean, Ardra is known as the teardrop, the moist one, right? So there's that strong struggle for inner peace going on here. And they kind of will put on this facade where they want to be very put together, where they want to be happy for other people, or they want to at least seem like they are stable and holding it together because they have someone who needs them. So that's something that people will like about you, is that even if you have some things that are going on in your life, you're going to be putting on that front like you're the strong one. And I've seen Venusian people do that too. But definitely with Ardra people, that's something that's very, very popular that they do. They'll kind of like your young spirit. They'll like the fact that romance with you almost feels like a teenage romance, and or even just the pre-romantic period. Like it gives them a sense of like butterflies, because it feels brand new. It feels like, oh, this is like making me feel like a kid again, or something like that. So that's something that's very much a positive quality that people are finding very, very seductive about you. So I hope that summarized everything. We have the eyes, we've got the changeable looks. Like I said, Ardra goes through two like extremes, so I can't really just say this is what Ardra looks like. I mean, I can, but you know, I like I said, they're like usually very fit, or like maybe kind of like more overweight, or they're going to be somebody who is just a very, very, very beautiful kind of balanced face, or something along the lines of that. It's the eyes though. It's the eyes that really kind of like really tell on them. And that's what I have for you guys. People are like really drawn to these things about you and find that very, very seductive. And I will see you guys next time. Au revoir. Okay. If you've chosen pile number 3, let's get started on your reading. We have the Fool. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the, sorry, my mind blanked, the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, and Critica. Okay. So, what we have here is a lot of various different qualities going on for you. We don't have any water going on, so right away we know it's not really about the personal connections or emotional vulnerabilities that make you so seductive, though that could be a quality for some of you, but it's not the main factor that's making you seductive. When we don't have water, then we don't have any of that I guess, strong partnership emotional connection, which some piles have gotten. What's making you very seductive is the fact that you come across maybe a little bit, a little sense of naivete, or maybe just a strong sense of curiosity. Okay. So when we have Critica, and what's the girl's name? She was on the Tinder Swindler. If you saw that documentary, it's the main girl who first comes in. She has her son in Critica, and you saw how she kind of just like instantly sort of believed in this sort of fairy tale like circumstance. Which, you know, critical people learn, they get smarter with age and stuff like that, like everyone does. But there is a sense of naivete when it comes to them. That is probably why Critica begins in Aries and then obviously goes into Taurus. But that's just part of the story. So people will like that you seem a little bit more maybe open-minded, maybe that you're somebody who's not jaded, or at least like you don't come across that way, or like you're willing to take risks and take chances and kind of like go with the flow, like how she was just like ready to like pick up her bags and go on this trip with this guy who she just met, right? Kind of a risque decision, right? Very like fire sign like energy, just to be like, oh yeah, I'm packing my bags and we're going on his private plane to this place, right? Very much like the Fool like energy, okay? So people will like that sense of spontaneity about you. They'll like that you're willing to put yourself out there, take chances. And that is a very seductive quality that you have. That curiosity and that sense of adventure is something that's very much like, oh, okay, this person is really, really like, whoa. And then we also have the Ten of Swords. And with this Knight of Wands energy going on. And for me, with the Ten of Swords, this can be a placement to just kind of mean somebody is very like verbose. So I don't want to say like, oh, this person's super negative, blah, 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 because that doesn't make sense. Nobody's seduced by somebody being negative, right? It's just kind of saying that sometimes you may talk a lot, and that could be an attractive thing, especially if you're somebody who really likes to communicate and you really like to put yourself out there, and just somebody in general who will speak their mind. And that's something that people will, or men or women will find attractive about you. That you're not afraid to open up and speak what's on your mind and say what you're thinking and put yourself out there, even if you know that there may be some sort of like backlash in what you're saying. Okay, that's very, very much important. Okay, so you just have a lot of things that you need to get off your chest, and a lot of things that you need to say, and that is 100% understandable. That you just want to express yourself however you want to express yourself in this life. Especially with the Knight of Wands next to it. It lets me know that you are very much like, oh, I just had this thought. I got to say what I need to say. I need to say what I need to think, right? If you've ever seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, I believe that was either directed or written by, what was it, Nora Ephron, and she is Sun in Critica. And in that movie, it kind of reminds me of how I'm describing now, where the conversation is very much heavy. Like the movie's driven a lot by the characters, Harry and Sally's conversations that they have with each other throughout the years. And I think that's part of the appeal. And I also believe, if you've ever watched Beauty and the Beast, that those characters were both played by Critica people, or at least sun-ruled people. And there's obviously a sense of a romance there in the way that they choose to communicate themselves, right? Like Belle was kind of like saying like he's like a jerk or something. Like she didn't say that right, but she called him like, you know, mean or something or whatever. But she didn't hold back with what she had to say, and neither did the Beast, right? So it's like very much like, I'm not going to hold back with what I have to say. I'm going to express myself however I want to express myself, and that is something that people will like. And also Critica is kind of known as the knife. So Critica people can sometimes say some harsh things, but ultimately what I've seen with Critica people is that it depends though, because like when they're younger or if they're less mature, then they can kind of like really like be very harsh with their words. But you know, when they get older, they can be a little bit more calculating and a little bit more reserved. It's really going to depend, okay? Not that you can't be somebody who speaks a lot, but also be very calculating about what you say. But basically the point I'm trying to say is the way you converse with people has a strong element of seduction, especially since you don't really hold back on what you say and you're very open about your thoughts. Also with Critica, when it comes to just, you know, blatant sexuality, we have like the sort of stereotypical icons when it comes to sexuality and self-expression. So I believe Janet Jackson is Sun in Critica, and pretty much didn't hold back with her image when she kind of came out of her shell and started doing, you know, like music videos. I'm trying to think of her original one. I remember her breakout one where she was like, oh, I'm going to be more seductive. But this video that comes to mind is like So Excited. And she has tons of videos where she's just like, she's just expressing herself. Like Miss Jackson, If You're Nasty, like typical images in media that you see expressing sexuality, like James Bond, how he kind of like plays this international spy and he's, you know, sleeping with a bunch of women, kind of like this very stereotypical macho personality. So for men, it could be like that you take on that sort of persona, or maybe that just is you, where people are like, oh, this person is very like, very laid back, very cool, very like, oh, I'm always in control. One thing that I've seen people comment on Critica people is people say that they kind of thrive off of chaos. They may not think this about themselves. So people may feel like that you thrive in a more chaotic environment, or like you're somebody who just needs something to like rein in and take control of. I saw this Critica person and they were talking about how they already had a job as like an accountant, but they also bartended just because they like bartending and they like being in that environment. So they like being in that, like that hostess party sort of like scene. And that's something that I've seen with many Critica people, even if they already got like a stable job, their money on straight. They're like, well, heck, I just want to hang out with, be in this like very lively, high energy environment. So people will like that you're somebody who comes across like they can take control of a high energy situation, and or a situation that seems chaotic. Like you're somebody who, you know, bosses up or takes the lead or takes control. So very much like leadership qualities, which you can see with the Queen here. And then obviously Critica itself is something that is like, yeah, I'm going to take control. I believe Pam Grier is also Sun in Critica, and you saw in her movies how she kind of played that character where she was like, yeah, I'm that boss woman. I'm going to take control. I'm not going to let y'all run all over me. I'm not going to let you, you know, talk to me any kind of way. I'm not going to let you treat me any kind of way. I'm going to fight you, right? Very like a tough girl or a tough guy image. And so that's something that people will like about you. We also have a side where there does seem to be like an air of luxury to you. So it's less like gritty and more refined in terms of how you appear to other people. Critica people I've seen take a lot of time to really think about what they're going to wear. At least the ones that I've personally seen. As I was saying before, so Critica's appeal becomes about, you know, trying to make yourself be very presentable, which we have here with the Queen of Pentacles and even the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles lets me know that you can be very detail oriented in terms of how you present yourself. You know, I don't really need to go into specifics about that. You know, people can be very particular about how they want to dress, how they want to do their hair, if they're into makeup, how they want that done. So that's something that becomes part of the seductive quality, just appearing very neat, classy, but also there is a sexy vibe to it. I see a lot of Critica women, they will prefer more form-fitting outfits, which is pretty, you know, modern, but not every placement likes form-fitting outfits. Some placements like a little bit more baggy of a look. Critica really wants to focus on the body's sexual appeal. That is something that is very much important to them. I think the body might even be one of the most attributing factors to why Critica is very seductive in terms of how they want to present themselves. I've even seen a few Critica people like go into, you know, surgery under the knife, no pun intended, since it's known as a knife. But yeah, that is something that you'll see from Critica people from time to time. There's a lot of appeal in being very like voluptuous for women and men. Men aren't like super muscular with Critica, so that could also be part of the appeal, because I know there's a lot of like mixed opinions on when a guy's like super muscular or not. But you know, for Critica people, they seem to be like that right in between body type that people will really, really be drawn into. And then also they can be, for men, be seen as very traditionally handsome, like well-groomed, shaven. It doesn't come across, what's the word? It doesn't come across, maybe, I don't know if wild is the right word, but it doesn't come across messy looking. They like to be very well put together, and that becomes part of like the seductive appeal to you. So that is everything I have for you, pile number 3. People generally just maybe drawn into the physical body is like really what's sticking out, especially for Critica. Like I said, that really focus on having a very nice shape, or being like very presentable in that sense, very well dressed, it's usually a little bit more of a laid back energy, but since we have the 10 of Swords and the Knight of Wands here, it lets me know that people may even be attracted to when you show a little bit more of like aggressive parts of yourself, which some people do like. Critica is known to be having a temper, so that's something to keep in mind. Maybe some people are, you know, turned on by the fact that, like, when you're mad or something, you know, some people like that energy. And so it's that fire, that heat that really keeps people locked in. And like I said, you just kind of like stand in your truth with this 10 of Swords here. Just like you let everybody know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I got to say. This is how I think. Sometimes it may be a little too much, but people seem to really like that about you, that you're just like letting it all out on what you believe. Okay. And then also there is a little bit of a political message when it comes to, not message, but they have a very like strong focus on politics with Critica, as well as power dynamics and social structures, but it really has to do with political climates as well. So you'll see a lot of Critica people be very involved in like political commentary. What's that guy's name? Ben Shapiro, I believe that he is Critica. Then you also have the guy who wrote those are the 48 Laws of Power, very Critica. Like I said, it's a lot of focus on that. There was also a man who, he was basically the person who, I guess, rewrote history so that it was more whitewashed. And let me get his name too, like William Archibald Dunning. And he basically rewrote a more like a racist, whitewashed version of history and the Reconstruction era at Columbia. And so that was taught for a long time. I believe up until like the 70s. So it was a had a very negative impact, but that's a negative Critica person. But as you can see, they have a strong involvement when it comes to politics, histories, and general leadership and power dynamics. So your interest maybe in those subjects would be very appealing to those around you and what you have to say on them. So that is what I have for you, and I will see you guys. Hey, pile number 4, let's find out why you're so seductive. We have the 8 of Cups, the 4 of Swords, the Emperor, the 6 of Cups, the 9 of Pentacles, and Ashwini. Alright, so right off the bat, people just think you're a very, very attractive person. Just visually, you come off like very pleasing to the eye, just straight off the bat. The cards aren't lying about that, particularly with Ashwini being here. It's a lot of focus on the face. Ashwini, for me, why they can tend to be very seductive is the fact that they can have very unique features that seem like they wouldn't be flattering, but they come together in a very interesting way. Like Anna Taylor-Joy, who's Ashwini, her eyes are like kind of far apart, but her features are very pretty and kind of Model-esque, which is something I see a lot with Ashwini people, that they'll have a look that seems like they're model-like and very unique. So something's like unique, which makes them look in a very Model-esque way. So that's something that people will find very seductive about you, in the fact that you are so unique looking and just pleasing to look at. And then we have these 4 of Swords here and the Emperor. So it lets me know that you're somebody who very much likes to take charge of their own life and accomplish their goals and be very focused and goal-oriented, basically. Just somebody very independent. And these qualities are what people really, really are finding seductive about you. Very inspirational. And it's just a lot of energy here that would allow people to feel like, wow, this person is just inspiring to be around. And that can be an attractive quality that you have. Another thing that I've seen with Ashwini is that they can be very much like open about their vulnerabilities, or maybe even talk about their family and things that happen that have been close to them, which can be indicated with this 6 of Cups energy. Some sort of like generosity. That was something that I've seen people compliment Ashwini people on. They're like, oh, this person was generous towards me, or they've taken care of me. And a lot of people will find that to be very seductive. And it can even just be like take care of them emotionally or financially, but it's really just more emotionally. So maybe people open up to you and they feel like you're accepting, or at least you're willing to listen and understand, and be almost in this non-judgmental place. And if you open up about your own sort of personal insecurities or things, they if they open up about their personal insecurities and things, I mean, it goes both ways. Either one of you opening up about those things is part of the seduction factor of Ashwini going on here. There's also an element of kind of not knowing what to expect when it comes to the, I guess, dating, romantic, seduction, play out, I don't know what to call it, seduction process. It's just taking people by surprise and not coming off as you seem, or just, expect the unexpected from you. That's something that people will be very enticed by, because they feel like maybe when they met you, they had this impression of you in their mind, but then it turns out that impression was not accurate. And so that's another thing that the 8 of Cups could be indicating, like that sort of like, I'm pulling away from this notion or this idea or fantasy that I had of you, and I'm seeing a different reality. Now, when these cards come together, to me, it seems like you're coming off very like cool, calm, and collected, and very relaxed here, especially with this 4 of Swords. That's a very laid back energy. Emperor is more of a go-getter, but since it's paired with this Four of Swords here, just lets me know that, you know, you're not just like shouting and screaming all the time, which the Emperor can do with this card appears. It's just more of inspiring people, like a motivator. Like you have those gym coaches who are just like, keep going, one more push-up. Like it's a more of a positive motivation that people are getting from you, and that's part of the seduction process coming on here. Now, if I focus more on the physical, Ashwini people are kind of known. I mean, they remind me of like Rahuvian people, because they can float through extremes, which is I guess why Rahu and Ketu are connected, the head and the tail of the snake, where they can go through a lot of extremes. Usually Ashwini people are pretty thin when they're younger. Not always, though. It can just depend. But overall, they're usually kind of like naturally more thin, and they kind of get like a little bit thicker or bigger when they get older. So like you'll see Ashwini people kind of be like this kind of kingpin type body type for males, where they're like very like big and robust. Or you can kind of see that for women too. Nothing wrong with that, right? So you can see that when they're older, but then like when they're younger, it's usually a more thinner frame for K2 people, because K2 is representative to be like without a body, right? So that's something to keep in mind with that thing. But normally Ashwini people are known more for their facial features more than anything, and that's appearing here with the Emperor connected to Aries and Mars. And we have the Eight of Cups, which usually for me comes across as somebody having like a more beautiful face. So the cards are more focusing more on the facial area. And Ashwini people, they aren't like outright like, I'm trying to seduce you. I mean, they might, but they do it in a more clumsy kind of way, because they don't focus a lot on the subtleties of the seduction process, and it comes across like very, very direct, or very much like, oh, I'm really trying to get to know this person really fast. So like I said, they might open up about something that's like, it may take some people, you know, months to open up about, where they may do it within like a week or a day or something like that. So a really like fast track to get to know people. Like you just kind of step into this private world, so they feel like that when they're with you. Like maybe they feel like you're somebody who they can tell their secrets to, or it feels a bit more like childlike in a way, and very open and very free. There's no, what's the word, guarded or jaded energy, because we have the Six of Cups here, which is like childhood and innocence. You know, children are so open. And so people really get that from you, where they feel like, oh, I can just kind of be open about this person. I don't have to be in this guarded like state. And these are you have a lot of good qualities going for you when it comes to being very, very like seductive. You can even see the Emperor and Ashwini and the Nine of Pentacles. They all kind of indicate some sort of achievement, accomplishment, feeling like you are at a good place in your life, and that you're somebody who is happy within yourself. There's a lot of focus more so on just like feeling like you set out to achieve what you wanted to achieve, and achieve it. That's like a lot of Ashwini's energy. Like I see a lot of people with Ashwini placements being very well accomplished, or very far along within their field. There's somebody who can accomplish things very, very young. Now, it may not always work out, where they can kind of burn out early, or they may do things in a way that may have cut a bit some corners. So like Suge Knight would be someone who is Ashwini, where he was successful, but he did cut a lot of corners, and in the end he was kind of his own downfall. Somebody else Ashwini would be the creator, founder of Nasty Gal, and you saw how her success in her business rose up really, really fast, and she was also kind of like this symbol for this movement, girl boss, where a lot of attributing qualities of being a girl boss kind of like connected to her. But that was that at the time was sort of supposed to be seen as more of empowerment, but as we reflect back on it, there was a lot of things that could have been done differently, right? So that's the thing about Ashwini, is where they may feel like you're somebody who's accomplishing things very, very early and doing it in a way that's like maybe above your peer group or above your age. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong, the wrong way. That's just one of the things that can come with Ashwini. But for you, it seems like you're doing everything the way you need to get done, and you really stand out from the crowd in that way. And another thing about Ashwini people, they may have a very particular way of dressing. So Machine Gun Kelly would be Ashwini, and I know he has like, currently he has like this trend going on where he's wearing like 2 different shoe colors. Like they're the same shoe, but they're different colors, and he's like making that part of his trend. And I know even Megan Fox said that he influenced her style to be a little bit more creative and more out there. So she's always trying to match his style. And that's very much an Ashwini thing. So Dennis Rodman, also Ashwini, and he was known for the different hair colors. And that became part of his brand, I guess you want to call that. So Ashwini people get known for the fashion, the style. So you may have a very particular style that people are really drawn into, and it looks interesting and it looks different. And that's something that people will really like in you, because they're like, oh, wow, I've never seen somebody be this unique before. Kind of reminds me of the story of like the Emperor's New Clothes, where I guess he was tricked in a way to being like naked, right, with the Emperor's New Clothes. But normally with an emperor, you have somebody adorned in like the latest, greatest fashions, or somebody who's very fashion forward because they are in a position to be so, or maybe they're using their creativity to be so. But either way, that becomes part of the very much seduction factor. Ashwini people are pretty straight up though. Like, it's not like somebody who's just like, oh, let me read between the lines and let me let me like whisper things and they may just straight up be like, hey, I want you, okay, like I like you, here's some flowers, here's some I'm nervous right now, I think you're attractive. They're pretty honest. And I think that's something that may throw people off about Ashwini, because it may seem like that could be like a trick or something. But for me, it comes across like people like that about you, that you're just honest. Like, it's not like you're playing any sort of games with them. It's just straight up. If you like them, you might make it very obvious, or you might just say so. So that's something that people are really finding seductive about you. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. People really love that you have this very calming like energy. You're enthusiastic, but then also very laid back. You're independent, ambitious. They love that how handsome or beautiful you are. They love how unique that you present yourself, or whatever unique features that you have, and they feel like they can be open and free with you. So that is what I have, and I will see you next time. All right, pile number 5, let's get started on your reading on why you're so seductive. We have the 8 of Wands. I believe that's the 8. Yep, the 8 of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the World, the 5 of Wands, and Chitra. Good that we have all this fire. It matches right up with Chitra. So, what makes you so seductive is pretty much what I thought when I first saw Chitra, is the fact that the communication is so personable, so passionate, and it comes from the heart. So you can be one of those people who can be very excitable when they speak, or just one of those people who like naturally kind of smile when they speak. I see that a lot with Chitra people. So it's like very warm and inviting, especially with this 8 of Wands here. The fact that communication came up first lets me know, at least a card that represents communication, sending messages, lets me know that the way that you communicate is very, very attractive to people. Maybe you lean in, maybe you do a lot of smiling, maybe make a lot of eye contact, maybe you're good at listening, asking questions. I do see a lot of Chitra people as TV hosts, doing interviews and etc. like that, and they are very good at conducting them, just because they're there to ask those questions and kind of ignite a lot more passion in individuals. I just saw an interviewer, a Chitra person, and she was interviewing Jada. You know, Jada is a little bit more of a relaxed sort of personality until she gets like really into a subject. But if she's not really into it, she just kind of stays in that like relaxed mode. Well, Chitra person will sort of bring out that part of an individual that's going to be very passionate and excited. So they, in this interview in particular, the more the Chitra person asked Jada questions, the more kind of like really excitable that she got. So the way that you communicate can also bring out excitement in others. And that's a really seductive quality, because then people feel like very elated to be around you. And they feel like you have a very comforting or just warming presence. And that is very obvious with these cards. We also have that this Knight of Pentacles and this Queen of Cups energy coming in here. And that lets me know that being like dedicated to your work, being consistent, believing in yourself, as well as having a strong sense of emotional maturity and being able to grow from difficult circumstances and challenges, you know, taking responsibility from actions, learning from mistakes, etc., as well as considering all those factors and others, really makes you a very attractive person. A lot of the personality traits are really coming through with this reading, so there's a strong emphasis on the personality here, which is very great, I suppose. So not to say that you're not attractive at all, it's just saying that the personality is really shining brightly here, which is funny. We see this little diamond here, but shine bright like a diamond, right? So that is what you guys are doing for people. They just really see this diamond-like personality within you. And, you know, even when you are stuck in a rut, they just kind of feel like you're somebody who keeps pushing, keeps going, keeps striving. You know, you can be very particular how you want things done, but that may be part of your charm in a way. Just kind of brings out a little bit of more of a quirkiness to you. And we also have this World card and the Five of Wands going on here. And that just kind of leans into what I was saying before, where you just like don't give up and you don't let challenges hold you back. You take them on head first, and you aren't concerning yourself with the competition. You're just like, hey, I'm going to keep moving, keep doing the things that I need to do. Even if everyone, even if there's a lot of people maybe doing the same thing I'm doing, or even if I butt heads with people, or even if I come into people who I don't, you know, quite get along with, you're just like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep striving until I get to where I need to be, until I reach success. And once you hit that goal, like you just keep going, like you still have more goals to accomplish. So people really are drawn into your ambition, to the way that you are someone who just doesn't give up. Like that's just the overall message here. They see that within you, and they see that fire within you, that willingness to strive. There's also a lot of jokingness to this, like lightheartedness, especially with the Eight of Wands and the Five of Wands here. I can get this for somebody kind of being either very flirtatious, or someone who just likes to like joke and kid around and, you know, bust people's balls and stuff like that. Like there's an aspect of strong humor to this. And I see that a lot with particular placements that may be in the sign of Vedic Aries or Mars replacements. So Dhanista, Chitra, Mrigashira, a lot of like people will probably find them funny, even if they're not trying to be funny. So that's something, a quality about you. People will just find you very amusing, or just funny in general. Maybe you're just naturally funny. That could be something that's also a very seductive quality about you. Now, if we get into the physical, Chitra is a very interesting placement, because I've seen all types of Chitra people, but for the most part, Chitra people are known for their curves. They're known for youthful appearance. They're known, similar to Mrigashira, they like an old Hollywood glamour type of look. Not all the time, but they do like that. Chitra people are a little bit different than Mrigashira in the fact that Chitra people can be a little bit more out there when it comes to like creating controversy with their style. Like Kim Kardashian would be somebody who's Chitra. I think her son's in Chitra. And you saw how she's done countless countless magazine covers and photos that people may deem as shocking or like, whoa, that's really happening. Grace Jones, I believe, is Chitra, and there's that scene in, gosh, I can't remember the movie. It's the movie with Eddie Murphy, and she's just like, I think she flashes him in a restaurant, and that's like something that's like very Chitra. Like they can come off to be very much like, this is my sexuality and I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to like cover up. Though I have seen some Chitra people dress modestly, but either way, they will pertain to some other Chitra aspects. Like I said, with a lot of like the smiling, a lot of smiles when it comes to Chitra, very welcoming, very youthful like face or appearance, just generally a very excited tone when they speak. I see that happening a lot. And very form-fitting clothing. Chitra people don't really like baggy clothing too much, unless they're just at home. But when they're like trying to make an impression and trying to seduce, they're going to be someone who's like, oh, I want to, you know, be like boom boom pow. Like I need people to know that I'm looking good. And I've actually seen this with Chitra guys as well. Chitra guys will put a lot of attention into their appearance. I think I follow one Chitra guy on social media, and I believe he gets his eyebrows waxed. Definitely is very particular about his style and what he likes to wear. But that's overall can be a very Mars rule guy thing, which is interesting because you don't really associate Mars with, you know, style and fashion. But men who have very strong Mars placements will more than likely be very concerned with their appearance, their style, their clothing, how they dress. And that is something that is a theme that will come up in their life. I even was doing like a mini sort of study for myself on which placements would, particular for men, would like, are known for like being best dressed. And Chitra came up frequently for that placement in terms of like being best dressed. So for you guys, being best dressed or being well dressed is something that people will find very seductive and intriguing about you as well. Oh my gosh, is that say charm on the card? That's so funny how I was just talking about charm, and I haven't read all of these cards, but yeah, charm 100% is the first thing that I personally noticed about Chitra. Like the first thing I noticed about most Mars rule placements is they come from the heart. Like they speak from the heart. They act from their heart. They have like this childlike, very excitable energy. They are very driven. They're very much like, you're not going to tell me what to do. Follow another Chitra person. Very, very concerned about the appearance, this person. And very beautiful person that she is. And always, you know, focusing on the right angles that a picture would be at, how the makeup's done, how the hair is done. From what I've seen Chitra people do a more like natural look, or like I said, more old Hollywood in terms of the makeup. And then you also have like the general kind of Instagram look, but they're not as like, let me add, you know, blue to my eyelid. Well, sometimes, but they're not usually like, let me add blue, glitter, and pink and red to my eyelids at the same time. Like they're usually not doing that much to their makeup. They're going to pick a look that's going to be more socially acceptable in most circles. So that's something to think about with Chitra. So they may like the fact that you have a more natural makeup look, or if you wear makeup. If you don't, then maybe just general natural look. I've seen some people with Venus and Chitra, and they like to wear clothing that's provocative, that people are like, oh, is this body part out? Is this leg showing? Is this chest area cut low? Like, you know what I mean? They like outfits that, like I said, do not apologize for their sexuality. And that's something to note, that people will like that when you dress that certain way. But also with the Queen of Cups here, I usually get that to represent someone who looked very beautiful, and but also has a mature elegance about them, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. Yeah, they just have a very more like an elegant type of presence. This doesn't mean that they won't throw down. This is Chitra. It's a Mars placement. They will fight you. I mean, we have this Five of Wands here. But there's definitely just saying that they like that air of elegance that you carry within yourself. So 100% how you present yourself. Chitra people also are known for very full lips. Not all of them have it, but they are more known for it than a lot of placements. So that's something to keep in mind, that people may be seduced by, like, oh, you maybe have full lips. Like I said, the youthful face, very pretty face, well, like very, very like well-dressed, very well-dressed. I think this might be the best well-dressed pal. I may have said to other people, but you guys, very, very particular, and also very modern in the sense that's coming out provocative, good listener, great communication skills, going to achieve their goals nonstop, never giving up, very skillful. So that's something also to take into account. Very skillful and dynamic in what they can do and what they can achieve within this life. Just a lot of spice to the personality, a little bit of a kick, and I don't know, just very pleasant, okay? Very relatable, like, energy that people will like from you. They like the humility, like they feel like you're somebody they could easily talk to, but at the same time, you're somebody who people feel like, man, this person has a lot of admirers. This person must be kind of hard to obtain. This person may also just be, they just seem to have it all. Like they just, like, the one comment that I've seen about Chitra people over and over is that they just seem perfect. Like they seem like they are perfect, and that they live the perfect lives. And Chitra people themselves will cultivate an image to be that way, but then also in general, people will probably perceive them to just be like perfect people, okay? Like, because they usually look good and they'll present the best aspects of their life to people. So it's all about like controlling the narrative. And so people will like that you take control of your own narrative and your own life and how you want it to be. So that is what I have for you, pal number 5. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.